Spring has already had some ups and downs, but what kind of weather will we see more of this spring? Next weather meteorologist Adam Del Rosso shows us the outlook.
It's a season of change, and we've already seen lots of those changes this spring. As of late, the warmth is winning, but we know all too well winter can make a quick cameo.
2018 always comes to mind with the big thunder blizzard we had, so we can still get snow in April, so I wouldn't say we're completely done with winter yet.
The Climate Prediction Center, or the CPC, is showing more likely odds that April will be wetter than average. But DNR climatologist Pete Belay says that doesn't necessarily mean snow.
The trend is for us to be kind of in that dividing line between winter and spring. So as long as we're in that dividing line, it'll be active. So we do have a chance for storm systems to move across our area.
As for temperatures, the CPC says it's a toss-up in April, with equal chances for most of the state being either below or above average. Looking farther down the road through June, the CPC shows equal chances for both temperatures and precipitation. But Belay says the fact we're transitioning from La Nina to El Nino could give us some hints.
Springs tend to be a little bit cooler and a little bit drier than normal. Not to say we can't have any big storms, they could still happen at any time, but in general, seem to be a cooler, drier pattern for the spring.
As the growing season nears, he says that could spell more problems for the drought, which is still in place across most of the state.
One thing that stands out is the potential for the drought to get worse is there. We don't want anything bad like a 1976 to happen, but you know, the potential is there and something to think of.
Adam Del Rosso, WCCO News.
Early spring temps change from day to day, but fortunately there are several flowers and plants that can withstand cooler weather.
Yeah, we recently talked with Anna Marie Scogan from Bachman's to learn which plants we can use right now to brighten up our outdoor spaces. Hey, Anna Marie, now that the snow is gone again, I think we can start thinking about doing some outdoor planting right now.
Yeah, let's get rid of those crusty brown spruce tops. Let's get those out and let's get some color in because it is go time. I mean, it's beautiful today. Everyone's ready for some color.
I clearly see you have some beautiful options. Walk us through what you have right here.
Yeah, so right now we have some fluctuating temps. So it is okay to get some of these more cold tolerant annuals in the ground. So we do have things like violas and pansies, which are traditionally the ones that can handle temperatures down into the lower 30s. So about 32 is where we would max out. Anything under 32 is freezing, obviously. So violas and pansies are fantastic for that. But we do have other ones that are going to be great down to about the 40. So as we kind of go through the next week or two, maybe a couple weeks, you can start adding some of these other ones. Ranunculus, Cinerea, all of these are going to be great for some of those cooler temperatures. And we can help too with guiding, you know, we'll send out cold alerts if you need to bring them in or cover them if it gets a little too cold.
Gosh, there's so many beautiful options in front of you. Do you have a favorite, Anna Marie?
You know, I love the primrose. I don't know if you guys can see this over here, how adorable this is. I mean, they're just so cute. I do love violas and pansies because they have these kind of little faces to them. So it's great, you know, depending on the kind of color that you want, but also just the fact that some of these are ready to go planters. You can either pop them on your patio if you have a decorative planter, or they work just fine on their own too.
I know some people would be concerned because the fluctuating temperatures. Do you need to cover these plants when you put them outside at all, or no?
You can, you know, if you actually put them in the ground. What we would recommend then is just paying attention to those overnight temperatures. We sometimes recommend keeping like an old bed sheet on hand, just so you can kind of cover it, maybe an upside down bucket, just to keep the frost off of it. But if you have something like this or you have a planter, just put it in your garage or bring it into the house. If those temperatures start to dip into the 30, you know, the mid 30s, that's when we would say you'd want to start protecting them.
So what kind of care do these plants need?
So they're going to be pretty easy. They like a little bit of sun, a little bit of shade. They're very flexible and they don't need a ton of water. They want to stay mildly watered. So we always say, you know, before you water them, kind of do the finger test, make sure that the soil isn't so overly saturated. So they're really kind of in the middle of the road. They don't need a lot of care. They like a little sunshine and they like a little water. So they're very easy to take care of.
I love that easy maintenance. How long do you think these plants would last if you have the optimal care right now, Anna Marie?
Oh gosh, they'll last a couple of weeks. I mean, especially with, you know, something like this where you can put, you know, a spike in your planter and rotate out some of your annuals as you go. And this will last you all the way up till fall. Violas and pansies, I've actually had those rebloom later on in the year because, again, they like cooler temperatures. So they might go dormant in the summer, but they'll come back sometimes in the fall if you still have them. But you'll definitely get a good couple weeks of color out of these, you know, and you can start then kind of incorporating some of your other annuals as we get warmer and warmer and kind of transition them through.
All great tips. Thank you so much, Anna Maria. Perfect time to do this. We're all itching for some color, some green. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for joining us on Mid-Morning, also streaming on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Beret Leone, in for Heather today.
And I'm AJ Hilton. We start with a new push to protect your kids on social media because today Minnesota lawmakers, they will discuss a bill to set age verification on social media and require parental consent for anyone under the age of 15. A child's account would also default to the most private settings. It comes as Child Safety Online has taken national headlines as of late because yesterday a jury found Meta, that's the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube, to both be negligent in a social media addiction case. The jury awarded $6 million in damages to the lead plaintiff in the case, a woman named Kaylee. She alleged using YouTube and Instagram from a young age led to addictive use of the platforms and contributed to her mental health problems, including depression, body dysmorphia, suicidal thoughts. And now we're hearing from Kaylee's attorney.
You know, what we've learned in this trial, the documents that were released for the first time showed that they specifically designed these platforms to be addictive. And the medical evidence is that the addiction is not simply behavioral, but there's a neurologic component to it. And so they deliberately targeted teens, knowing that their brains aren't fully developed.
A spokesperson from Meta released a statement saying, quote, "We respectfully disagree with the verdict and are evaluating our legal options," end quote. Since it was a civil case, only 9 out of the 12 jurors had to agree on each count. This case could create legal precedent for future cases. And here in Minnesota, the bill being heard today would also ban the, quote, addictive features on social media from kids' accounts.
Annunciation shooting survivor Victor Greenewalt has received the Young Hero Citizen Honors Award from the Congressional Medal of Honor Society. Greenewalt was known to block his friend Weston, among others, from gunfire on that fateful August day. The award was given yesterday, and it's for demonstrating extraordinary bravery beyond his years. Before it was presented, the crowd watched a video where Annunciation staff and his parents sang their praises for the 5th grader.
His instinct to protect rather than flee speaks volumes about his character, his compassion, and his bravery.
He's the man. Victor is just one of the most authentic children that I've ever encountered.
The event was held in Washington, D.C. It fell on both Medal of Honor Day and the Feast of the Annunciation for Catholics.
This morning, there is a new clue in a hit-and-run crash that killed a college student in Minneapolis. Take a look for yourself. Police say this is the car that hit 22-year-old Seyham Hassan early Sunday morning in northeast Minneapolis. The driver then took off. Investigators say the St. Thomas senior crossed the street with a bag of food when the car hit her. An online fundraiser says Seyham was just months away from graduating with a degree in public health. The site says she wanted to care for others and give back to her community. Call Minneapolis police if you know anything.
Governor Tim Walz is calling for a new council to look at the impact of Operation Metro Surge. The immigration crackdown brought 4,000 agents, federal agents, to Minnesota. Many of those agents were in the metro for at least 10 weeks this winter. The new 15-member council will hear testimony and gather data, then offer recommendations for the future. St. Paul police say they're preparing for a rally that could be the biggest one they've seen in years. Organizers say they expect more than 100,000 people for a No Canes rally this weekend.
We know planning, of course, is key with this rally this big. Here's what you know if you plan to attend or maybe you want to avoid it altogether. The expected crowd has authorities ready to shut down streets in the capital city. We're talking about sections of Wabasha Street, John Ireland Boulevard, the 12th Street Bridge area, and MLK Boulevard. All could be impacted. Protests begin at noon at 3 different sites. We're talking about Harriet Island, St. Paul College, the Western Sculpture Park. All those marches will lead to the Capitol, and that's where the main rally begins at 2 p.m. It's also where organizers expect some big names to take to the stage.
We will have those national names like Bruce Springsteen, Bernie Sanders, and others, as well as our local leaders here and the community voices that have carried the state.
Other major names expected include Joan Baez, Jane Fonda, Maggie Rogers. And with a protest of this size, St. Paul police have a plan in place to work with Minnesota State Patrol as well as rally organizers.
We support their rights, but we also expect them to be lawful. Obviously, our primary responsibility is life safety, but we're also there to protect property, make sure that the city can still continue to function.
St. Paul police say this could be the biggest demonstration since the Women's March at the Capitol. That was back in 2017. WCCO's live coverage of the rally, the traffic disruptions, and what you need to know. That begins at 2 p.m. Saturday. It'll stream on CBS News Minnesota, also on our YouTube channel. Okay, here's a question. You have a hard time dealing with bright lights when you're driving at night?
No, a new survey by AAA shows 6 out of 10 drivers say they struggle with headlight glare at night. 73% of those who are bothered say the problem has gotten worse over the past decade.
Oh my gosh.
Does this bother you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny, because I've noticed it as I've gotten older too. It is so much harder for me to drive at night, and don't let there be rain too. If there's rain too,
double whammy.
it's hard to see. What about you guys? You guys see that too?
Totally more susceptible as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And it just kind of happens, you know. Like
all of a
at one
sudden.
point I'm like, I was pretty good at driving at night. Now I just,
Yeah.
What about you?
don't like it.
Yeah, honestly, this has always been an issue for me.
Has it?
Yeah.
Because I have very poor eyesight. And so especially if I'm wearing my glasses and not my contacts.
That makes a difference, the glasses
does.
and contacts, really.
Yeah, I think so. I also have an astigmatism, so that makes headlight glare bad and blurry and all the things. So this has always bothered me since I've been a driver.
Since you've been a driver, it's always been a thing. What about like when it rains? Like, for example, like this morning.
Yeah, this morning
Would that have been a problem or no? For you?
Yeah, probably. I don't
Probably?
know. Yeah. It was dry when I drove in.
It was
so
dry when you
that
drove
was
in,
nice.
It's just so many lights reflecting off the water droplets and things like that. It just becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Well, not only that too, but I've even staying in the lane, I'm trying to figure out, at night too, especially like when it's raining, where are the lanes here? I can't even see the lanes, and I'm thinking, is the problem me? Am I the problem right now? Like, what just happened?
I mean, just driving at night or in the rain is already going to be more difficult than a nice, clear day or something like that. So,
and you know that
it's all of us.
firsthand,
It's
being
all
in the
of us.
weather tracker too.
Yes, that's a good point, AJ. Yeah, it gets a little wonky sometimes out there with all the lights and the glare and all the things. But I do. It's funny though, because it's like you hear like, oh, I can't drive past 9 p.m. and like, I
can't.
Dark, I don't want to do it.
I'm tapping up.
I'm tapping out.
We're done. Well, this should be interesting. We're looking for your feedback on this. Do you have a hard time dealing with headlight glare or driving at night? How do you feel about driving at night in general? Send us your thoughts. Go to our WCCO Facebook page, and we'll share some a little later on in the show.
Thanks for spending part of your Thursday with us on Mid-Morning. We all have lots of things scheduled in our lives, both at home, of course, at work too.
So when a meeting gets canceled suddenly, it usually feels pretty... We were talking about this. It feels pretty good. Why is that? Why do we feel so good when a meeting is canceled? Like all of us like kind of smile like, oh, that meeting's canceled?
I know.
That's a shame. So disappointing. Why would you guys say, like, why would you say, Barrett, you feel that way? Like, you feel so happy when a meeting's canceled?
It's like, oh, I have time to do other things. I have time to do, the freedom.
You get the time back.
You get the time back.
You get the time back.
Yeah.
Weren't necessarily going to have, and then now you can.
Right.
I mean, if you're at work, you could use it towards something to help you out.
Right.
For yourself at work, or maybe you can use it towards something different. But like, just having that time back is sometimes nice.
But it's not just work meetings that we feel good about.
No.
Right? Am I alone in saying that? It's also like
I think it's any
canceled
kind of
plans.
meeting.
Sometimes are I hear a little hallelujah when it gets canceled, and no shame about it because
these researchers, they had researchers from a bunch of different universities, including Ohio State University. They say Americans were known for our packed schedules, which we are. I think that's not just Americans, though. I think that's globally. We've got back-to-back obligations. We do that. There's never enough time in the day. So when we do get that unexpected, that canceled meeting feeling, it's like it feels subjectively longer because of what you just said, Joseph. Oh my gosh, this is an hour that I get to gain back. This is unexpected free time. So now I get to play with this unexpected free time. So it feels longer, even though that same amount of time, it's the same amount of time that you were losing before. Which is always a blast.
I bet it feels great for some parents too. Like, I got a break from having to do this responsibility. Now I can use it towards like a nap or something, something like that.
That is so. So you know what, too? That's the definition of winning right there.
Yeah,
you get that break.
Nap.
But you alluded to something though too, Barrett, because it's so true. Like sometimes it's not necessarily just work.
Yeah.
You may have plans with friends, and
It's not that I don't love my friends.
right, but
It's just sometimes I'm tired.
sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes
You know?
it's happened. It's true. If that obligation is canceled,
Yes.
the available time gets mentally compared against the original expectation.
Yeah.
So that contrast again makes it feel even bigger too, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Outside of work for me, which I actually like some sort of ritual and like I like my day sort of structured. Other than that, I don't like to be pinned down to certain things. So like having that like
You like to be free.
I like that freedom.
Yeah.
To just like kind of go however my personality is feeling for the day. And so I think
relate to
that's
that.
why I like it when something gets like removed. I'm like, oh, now I can actually just wherever it takes me.
Yeah.
I can freestyle, just do whatever I want.
Freestyle. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's doing a freestyle this morning. It's the weather.
Oh,
the
man.
spring is officially here.
Yeah.
We know weather in Minnesota, it's unpredictable. It's certainly uncertain.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Now we're getting some insight about what this spring might hold for us.
You know,
Oof.
we go through this every year.
We
and
do.
I felt for it this year, guys. Because we always talk about this. Is this the final snowstorm? Of course, we had like
We just had the conversation yesterday.
we just had the conversation.
Like, are we sticking a fork in the winter or not?
I fell for it. I said I'm ready to stick a fork in it. I think we're done. I think we're tapped out.
How many like fake springs, do we usually
I think
have
we
in
roll
a
through
season?
like 4 or 5 around here. It's like here's this one. The first one might, it might be a stretch of like some 50s. And
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's like, oh,
You
we're
feel
down to
good,
0.
and then.
Yeah.
But snow is very possible in April.
It's still possible.
Yeah.
We average like 3.5 inches of snow in April. I've been telling people this month in March, like, hey, we average 8.5 inches of snow in the month of March. So when we hit that like random 60-degree day earlier in the month, you know that we're still going back the other direction there. And Adam just did a really good story on this, and that's why this topic's kind of coming up right now.
Well, he even mentioned in his story how April typically it's wetter. But wetter doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be snow.
It doesn't mean, it does not mean snow, because I mean it could be like this morning, where temperatures were definitely warm enough for 40s, and we're leaning towards El Nino. And Pete Blay, who's the climatologist here at the DNR, he's been here a little bit longer than I have, but he suggested that we usually see something that's a little bit cooler in the spring when we have an El Nino pattern, and a little drier.
Okay.
And they were kind of nervous because we have some drought conditions right now.
For people who aren't familiar, can you explain the difference between El Nino and El Nina? Because I think sometimes people get confused with those.
So this is always El Nino and La Nina. It all has to do with the water temperature in the Pacific that changes the rainfall patterns across essentially the whole world, or United States especially. So when the water is really warm in the Pacific, in the equatorial Pacific area, that's called El Nino. And then when the water's cool, it's called La Nina. That's all it is. It's just the temperature of the water there in the Pacific, and it changes up the rainfall patterns. It's more of an impact, I would say, in winter versus like spring.
Yeah, you just talked about the rainfall patterns, and you just alluded to this before, but the drought-like conditions, I mean, that's something that we're always concerned about in Minnesota, especially our Minnesota farmers who are dealing with those drought conditions. It feels like this is year after year, Joseph.
Big ag community, I mean, when I first got here, I was doing stories with all the farmers nearby, like how's the weather treating them. It's just out of their hands. It's out of all of our hands. But we can look at the patterns that these El Nino, La Nina seasons bring us, and they do fluctuate every couple of years. And so we're coming out of a La Nina, and we're going into this El Nino pattern, and it, according to Pete, it usually means something that's a little drier and a little colder for the spring.
Early spring temps change from day to day, but fortunately there are several flowers and plants that can withstand cooler weather.
Yeah, we recently talked with Anna Marie Scogan from Bachman's to learn which plants we can use right now to brighten up our outdoor spaces. Hey, Anna Marie, now that the snow is gone again, I think we can start thinking about doing some outdoor planting right now.
Yeah, let's get rid of those crusty brown spruce tops. Let's get those out and let's get some color in, because it is go time. I mean, it's beautiful today. Everyone's ready for some color.
I clearly see you have some beautiful options. Walk us through what you have right here.
Yeah, Yeah, so right now we have some fluctuating temps. So it is okay to get some of these more cold tolerant annuals in the ground. So we do have things like violas and pansies, which are traditionally the ones that can handle temperatures down into the lower 30s. So about 32 is where we would max out. Anything under 32 is freezing, obviously. So violas and pansies are fantastic for that. But we do have other ones that are going to be great down to about the 40. So as we kind of go through the next week or two, maybe a couple weeks, you can start adding some of these other ones. Ranunculus, Cinerea, all of these are going to be great for some of those cooler temperatures. And we can help too with guiding, we'll send out cold alerts if you need to bring them in or cover them if it gets a little too cold.
Gosh, there's so many beautiful options in front of you. Do you have a favorite, Anna Marie?
I love the primrose. I don't know if you guys can see this over here, how adorable this is. I mean, they're just so cute. I do love violas and pansies because they have these kind of little faces to them. So it's great, depending on the kind of color that you want, but also just the fact that some of these are ready to go planters. You can either pop them on your patio if you have a decorative planter, or they work just fine on their own too.
I know some people would be concerned because the fluctuating temperatures. Do you need to cover these plants when you put them outside at all, or no?
You can, if you actually put them in the ground, what we would recommend then is just paying attention to those overnight temperatures. We sometimes recommend keeping like an old bed sheet on hand, just so you can kind of cover it, maybe an upside down bucket, just to keep the frost off of it. But if you have something like this, or you have a planter, just put it in your garage or bring it into the house. If those temperatures start to dip into the the mid 30s, that's when we would say you'd want to start protecting them.
So what kind of care do these plants need?
So they're going to be pretty easy. They like a little bit of sun, a little bit of shade. They're very flexible, and they don't need a ton of water. They want to stay mildly watered. So we always say, before you water them, kind of do the finger test, make sure that the soil isn't so overly saturated. So they're really kind of in the middle of the road. They don't need a lot of care. They like a little sunshine, and they like a little water. So they're very easy to take care of.
I love that easy maintenance. How long do you think these plants would last if you have the optimal care right now, Anna Marie?
Oh gosh, they'll last a couple of weeks. I mean, especially with something like this where you can put a spike in your planter and rotate out some of your annuals as you go, and this will last you all the way up till fall. Violas and pansies, I've actually had those rebloom later on in the year because again, they like cooler temperatures, so they might go dormant in the summer, but they'll come back sometimes in the fall if you still have them. But you'll definitely get a good couple weeks of color out of these, and you can start then kind of incorporating some of your other annuals as we get warmer and warmer and kind of transition them through.
All great tips. Thank you so much, Anna Maria. Perfect time to do this. We're all itching for some color, some green. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
A Minnesota teacher is charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy. Investigators say the child identified Beck Saney as the man who assaulted him. Saney was a teacher at Shattuck St. Mary's, a private school in Faribault. He's since been fired. The child told police he met Saney through an app and they communicated on social media. He said Saney knew he was 14 years old and assaulted him at Saney's apartment on the school campus. Saney is out on bond and due in court in June. The family of a boy who was shot in the head at a St. Paul rec center in 2023 has reached a major settlement with the city. The shooting happened back in January of 2023 outside the Jimmy Lee Rec Center across from Central High School. A teen was shot and critically injured by a 26-year-old man who worked at the rec center. The victim's mother sued the city and the gunman, and now the city council has voted to approve a settlement of $9.5 million. This releases the city from any future liability or claims. Okay, thanks, Maria.
Well, a big change at the state capitol means senators can now bring their children on the chamber floor.
Yeah, we've been following this story, and now the Minnesota Senate approved a rule change. DFL Senator Claire Umu Verbaden was asked to take her infant son, Leo, off the Senate floor earlier this month because he wasn't allowed. She joined forces with GOP Senator Julia Coleman and other members with young children to push for change. This allows kids to come on the chamber floor with their parents and have milk or formula if leaders give the okay. After a lengthy debate, it passed with broad bipartisan support.
This rule won't impact me. I would not subject this chamber to the 3 little munchkins I have running around, and they're old enough to be out there. But this is about planting seeds for trees for the future parents coming after me to sit under.
The final vote was 41-25. Opponents argued that there were other ways they could have accommodated parents, like having a special room for them and their kids without going this far. It is worth noting, however, how incredibly fast this change was able to pass. For reference, it took 10 years of discussion before the Senate finally allowed members to drink water on the floor.
Now, that's a big change.
A Minnesota teacher is charged with sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy. Investigators say the child identified Beck Saney as the man who assaulted him. Saney was a teacher at Shattuck St. Mary's, a private school in Faribault. He's since been fired. The child told police he met Saney through an app and they communicated on social media. He said Saney knew he was 14 years old and assaulted him at Saney's apartment on the school campus. Saney is out on bond and due in court in June. The family of a boy who was shot in the head at a St. Paul rec center in 2023 has reached a major settlement with the city. The shooting happened back in January of 2023 outside the Jimmy Lee Rec Center across from Central High School. A teen was shot and critically injured by a 26-year-old man who worked at the rec center. The victim's mother sued the city and the gunman, and now the city council has voted to approve a settlement of $9.5 million. This releases the city from any future liability or claims.
We also know many Minnesotans are still feeling the financial impacts right now from Operation Metro Surge. And Beret, I know you're tracking some of the relief efforts.
Yeah, we sure are. During the ice surge, we know many Minnesotans stayed home out of fear, meaning they didn't work, couldn't get a paycheck, and are now struggling to pay rent. The city of St. Paul is making an effort to ease that burden. The city council on Wednesday unanimously passed an ordinance extending the pre-eviction filing notice to 60 days, an increase from the current 30-day period. This is just a temporary change starting in mid-May and lasting through 2026. It still needs to be signed by the mayor. That is where a similar ordinance in Minneapolis got stuck. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey vetoed it, leaving it now in limbo. The application window just closed for small businesses trying to get a share of a $2 million relief fund. The Hennepin County Housing and Redevelopment Authority is making this money available to help businesses impacted by Operation Metro Surge. If selected, businesses can receive anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 to help cover costs like rent. As of Wednesday morning, nearly 1,000 applications came through. One owner says the help could mean the difference between staying open or closing for good.
This is going to really support us, to continue to hire employees, to keep our business going. So it's very important.
Applications will be reviewed starting today. And a community concert has some Minneapolis residents looking on the bright side to raise money. Music fans fueled this benefit concert for Minneapolis residents last night at the Hollywood Theater. They're raising money to support families they say are in urgent need for money to cover rent, bills, and groceries after the ice surge. The St. Anthony Village online fundraiser has brought in more than $145,000. Rock Creek in St. Croix Falls is getting ready for its 6th annual Spring Boutique and Easter celebrations. We have Becky Lindblom, events director, and she joins us here live. Thanks for being here, Becky. This is just such a busy time. What can people find out at the Spring Boutique?
I'm sorry, you cut out for just a second there. What did you say?
What can people expect? What can they find at the Spring Boutique?
So people can expect a Easter egg hunt. We're going to do that at 2:30 for the kids each day, both Saturday and Sunday. New this year, we have a brunch with the bunny. That's where I'm sitting right now. That'll take place on Saturday. We have a 10 a.m. and an 11:30 a.m. seating. We have live music, we have vendors, and we have an adult egg hunt as well that starts right when we open and goes until the eggs are gone.
Well, Becky, I'm glad you told the bunny to wave because we were worried that people could be creeped out, so they know it's a real bunny. For someone who has not been out to that property before, can you describe just how big it is out there?
Yes. So we have 980 acres. We have a big trout lake right on site and streams that flow throughout the property, hiking and biking trails as well, and lots of wildlife to enjoy. And we also offer camping and glamping and on-site lodging. And we're working on bringing in seasonal sites this year as well. And also hoping to expand and add in a pool and lots of new and exciting fun things coming to Big Rock Creek.
We were both excited about the pool.
Yeah, we were.
And this is, for all ages, right, Becky? Kids, adults, there's a lot going on there.
Yep, this is for all ages, families. We'll have food trucks available as well. We'll have our pizza barn, and then another food truck will be with us this weekend. We also have photography photos with dream capture photography with live ducks and bunnies. They're professional photos that you can book as well.
So I understand you guys have live music out there. Walk us through this process. Do we need to get tickets ahead of time? How does that process work?
Yep, you can purchase tickets online at www.bigrockcreekwi.com. We will have them available on site as well. If you arrive and don't have tickets, that's okay too. The one thing that we would for sure purchase ahead of time is our brunch with the bunny, because that is close to being sold out.
Really quick too, remind people where you guys are located.
We are located in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin.
Okay, St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. The bunny will be there. Hey, one final question for you. Talk about the preparation for an Easter egg hunt like this. How many eggs do you think you guys would plant out there?
We have over 3,000 eggs for the kids' egg hunts this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Eggs up there. Think about the preparation work that gets underway for that. My goodness.
That's a lot of eggs.
It's a lot of eggs.
Every night my mom's saying, I did 500 more eggs today. I did 500 more eggs.
Oh my goodness.
A labor of love.
It's a family affair out there too.
Yeah, I love that.
Hey, Becky, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So the Spring Boutique at Big Rock Creek this Saturday, Sunday, 10 a.m., 3 p.m. You said you better make those reservations for the brunch right now. We will include a link where you can find all the details when we post a segment on our website, WCCO.com.
You don't have to travel to Italy to learn some authentic Italian cooking skills. You have the opportunity right here in the Twin Cities.
Susie Petrillo, the founding director of Casa Atruzzi, is here along with Chef Matteo. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning. Y'all, if you could smell the broth that they just put in here, we'll get to this in just a second.
Yes.
Talk to us about what's going on. There's a cooking class that people can take here, right here in the Twin Cities. Explain this for us.
Exactly. This is what happened.
Okay.
First of all, two people met. Anna Bonavita, who is founder of Esperienza, the nonprofit based in U.S.
Okay.
And she lives here, so she's a twin citizen.
There we go, there we go.
A new word I learned. And she founded Esperienza to bring not mass tourism to the rural Italy, you know, to get a chance to offer an authentic experience. This is the reason, as we said, she shared her friends. Okay, so small groups, super curated, and plenty of time to spend time with locals. So it's an immersive experience, no matter if it is for language, for culinary tour, or for hiking. Then she met Carl Berenson and his wife, Marie, who are the owners of Cooks of Crocodiles.
Which is
here
right here.
In St. Paul.
Here in St.
Not
Paul,
far from here, not from here. So Carl and his family, they joined one of our trip. I had the pleasure to be the host. And of course, one of the highlights of these trips are the hands-on cooking classes in Casa Atruzzi Foundation. It's a foundation, so a non-profit organization which bears the name from Artusi's, which is father of Italian gastronomy, with the first national Italian cookbook.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And then, so Carl said, we want to propose something authentic to our customers. So, first of all, couple of people from his staff, they came to Italy. So they have been trained in Casa Atruzzi by Chef Matteo and his colleague, especially on Italian food culture, because you know they already cook. So they are and so we are here.
So what exactly, Chef? What exactly is the chef doing right now?
You're curious, huh?
Yeah, well, we're curious. Well, not only that, but then for people who are taking the cooking class, is this what they will be doing?
Also this. Yes, because you know, you say Italy, you say pasta.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So you can name tortellini, cappelletti, annolini. We decided to bring here for you the cappelletti, which is the super local fillet pasta from Emilia Romagna, in Romagna, in the heart of Italy. And of course, they are filled with the king of cheese, the Parmigiano Reggiano. But people who are attending the cooking classes, and by the way, we are being super lucky, they are all sold out.
Oh, they're all sold out, okay.
So we are, we are honored. They will not only cook, but also sample like Parmigiano Reggiano, prosciutto di Parma ham, aceto balsamico tradizionale di Modena and Reggio Emilia. So it will be an immersive experience.
Oh, that's fabulous. But there is still a chance for folks to come and meet you this weekend.
One chance to meet in person Chef Matteo and Anna, the founder of Esperienza. On Sunday, there is an open house event. People,
Viewers everywhere.
Viewers can check on experienceitaly.org/WCCO and find out where we are, what we do. We will be more than happy to welcome your viewers.
Okay, so hold on. Let's come back to this broth real quick.
Let's go to the point.
What is this broth, though?
It's chicken broth.
It's chicken broth. Oh my gosh.
According to the Artusi's recipe, which is number 7, okay, because Artusi collected recipes traveling along Italy and published the first edition in 1821. Wow. Can you imagine? Even before its unification, or before we were born as a country, I mean, okay?
Wow.
And it suggested a special recipe for special events like Easter or Christmas. You say you can use the capon to make the broth. For a more precious, for a more precious.
And Easter's coming up.
And of course, what makes the difference is that king of cheese.
On Wednesday.
We promised we were paying attention to your forecast, but Beret's been over here.
They look like little cowboy hats.
They do.
I'm just loving everything about it.
The name is Cappelletti, which means little hat. Cappello, Cappelletti.
Okay. Well, there you go. And then the cheese.
The cheese is the king of cheese, of course.
I'm gonna make one more.
Thank
you so much.